だからアリが日本語に対してどういうところを難しいと思ってるのか。こんにゃく。
あ、こんにゃく。
じゃあ食べ物のあれは
こんにゃく。
こんにゃく。
Same。
同じじゃないのよ。この本はものです、私の。
いや、
Do you ever like feel scared to use なんか敬語 sometimes?
Yeah, all the time. Today we're talking about not necessarily English actually. We're talking about like Japanese from an English perspective. How it feels like learning Japanese.
I wanted to do this topic today because なんか英語って私たちネイティブスピーカーじゃないと思うんですけど、なんかやっぱ難しいってすごい思うところがたくさんあるですよね。
Yeah.
でもそれは英語だけじゃなくて It's always like that でしょ、だからアリが日本語に対してどういうところを難しいと思ってるのか、外国人ノンネイティブスピーカーからしてどういうところが難しいのっていうのをちょっと聞いてみることによってYou can also think that way in English too. なんか、It's not only us for English. It's always like this when you learn new language, I think so.
First of all is the writing system. Because you guys, you grew up seeing kanji, hiragana, katakana.
そうね。
You grew up, you were born, from the day you were born, I'm pretty sure you saw some hiragana.
確かに生まれて病院でもう全部漢字とひらがなとカタカナだもんね。
I know, even your own name is written in
確か
that,
に。
you know. You guys learned also the alphabet, which is a writing system that is not traditionally used in Japan, but it's very, very commonly seen in Japan and maybe nowadays used in many ways as well. Because you use hiragana, katakana, and kanji, all three writing systems, plural, can be challenging because it's difficult for us to memorize them.
そうだよね。
Yeah.
だって日本人も難しいもん、漢字とか。
そうやね。
これなんて読むのみたいな。本当に日常茶飯事。
I didn't even mention kanji because I think
まあ漢字 is like また another level けどね。
yeah, because like Japanese also struggle with it.
そうね。
So yeah, that's the first point, right? The second point is, and believe it or not, pronunciation. So
日本語の
so Japanese has a set of like vowels and consonants that are not present in English sometimes, like RYO. This combination doesn't exist.
RYO 量。
How do you say Japanese in the Japanese traditional hotel?
旅館。
So it's really difficult to hear the difference between that and the sweet that you eat with tea. Anko na yatsu. And it's like a bar, similar to what you just said.
洋館。
Yeah. For if you take the word individually without the context of it, for me it's sometimes impossible
旅
to.
館と洋館が似てるん
Yeah,
だ。
very much.
How do you say engaged?
In Japanese, I forgot.
こんにゃく。
こんにゃく。
じゃあ食べ物のあれは
こんにゃく。
こんにゃく。
Same.
同じじゃないのよ。こんにゃくとこんにゃく。
It's the こんにゃくとこんにゃく。You see how long it took me to be like, oh yeah, true. Oh yeah. Now I get it. Because those syllables and the combination of these pronunciation, they don't exist. And it's such a small difference that people won't hear if they can't speak it or read
確か
it.
に。
So what other thing does language have? Grammar. Ne? I kind of
グラマ
mentioned
ね。
it
グラ
before.
マグラマ。
In Japanese, it's subject, object, verb. Even if you introduce yourself, you say your name first before you say I am. Right? And
そう
Western,
だね。
not only English, every Western culture speaks that way. And remember that in Western cultures, we learn many languages, right? Especially if you live in Europe, it's so easy to hear other language. And imagine if you learn any other language and you're used to every other language you learn is actually based on the same structure. So your brain starts to pick patterns.
なるほど。
And then you move to Japan and then suddenly it's like, oh no. You don't say
この本はものです、私の。言わないもんね。
so.
これは私のものです。
So
This book I belong.
exactly. And then suddenly you're like, wait, what? So it's the same in Japanese
じゃあ
too.
もう多分本当に同じエクスペリエンスだわ、これは。For us too.
But not only that. So let's say you master that. Let's say you're really good at that.
Okay.
And you can talk really casually with your friend and so on.
Right.
in Japan you have honorifics.
敬語来ました。
So, because the honorifics and the positions of people, like depending on which position they are, if they are older, if they're your boss, if they're your senpai, kohai, toka, all these honorifics change. And the way that you address, even in working environments and so on,
そうだね。
like emails and pick up phones for customers,
Right.
all of that.
Right.
Everything is so unique and exists only in Japan.
なるほど。確か
So,
に。
in order to not only understand the system, we also have to use another language on top of the language that we're just learning in order to sound polite. And if we don't do it, people actually can get offended by it.
まあちょっとね、失礼になってしまう場合もあるからね。
It's a combination of a cultural understanding and a different usage of language.
Do you ever like feel scared to use なんか敬語 sometimes?
Yeah, all the time. If I have to use only keigo, I pretend I can't speak Japanese because I'm so scared to offend the person. I think if I pretend that I can't speak Japanese in this situation, and be like, I'm sorry, I only speak English. I think it's less offensive than pretending to know keigo but actually be super impolite.
なるほどなるほど。
So
大変だわこれは。
that's kind of the introduction to our last point as well, which is the cultural context.
文化的なことね。
So the cultural context of understanding of speaking Japanese is crucial. It's one of the most important things to learn before you even start speaking Japanese. The meaning depends on the situation. And you only understand the situation if you understand the cultural background.
そう
So
ね。
you cannot use, for example, otsukare if you never worked in Japan. You can learn the word, but you still don't know how to use it. But why did they just say otsukare? They just started working. I thought you say it after work. It's like, oh no, sometimes we use it as a greeting. Oh really? Like when? Depends on the situation.
しかも
Which
そういうの
situation?
ってテクストブックにないからね。
No way. No way. Textbook explains otsukare in maybe 2 or 3 sentences. That's it. And then we're like, okay, we understand.
Right.
But we don't really know how to use
Right.
it.
I think this part, honestly, I think this is very, very, like, 本当に important part to learn English.
Yeah.
Especially you wanna have conversation とか、if you wanna speak it, 多分本当に大事だと思うんだよね。で、一番 difficult. 本当に you have to experience.
Yeah. It's not enough, to be honest, to just learn a language. You have to learn the culture that comes with the language too.
Right, right.
So if you want to speak and understand English, then you have to understand Western culture too. Otsukare, or like maybe saying sorry many times, like sumimasen and gomenasai. It doesn't match my personality actually. でもしょうがないでしょ. You're in Japan. You need to use these things in order to fit in. And the same with English. I know if you use English in a Japanese way, no one will take you serious.
本当にそれ。I had the experience だから。
そうそうそう。
で本当に今アリが言ったみたいにアリもそのストラゴルあるし in Japan 私もありましたねやっぱアメリカでやっぱカルチャーは本当に大事だと思う It will take you to next level
Yeah, that's when people believe you that you speak English. Remember, even if you don't speak it fluently.
That's it guys
That's it. Thanks for watching.
ありがとうございました
Bye. For example, if we say Apfel, which means apple, okay? When we say the plural, many apples, we say Äpfel. So it's like Apfel and Äpfel. So
同じじゃん
yeah, so many people